I'm 94 years old. I've buried more friends from racing than most people make in a lifetime. So when someone asks me who is the greatest rider you have ever seen, I don't answer quickly, because in my time, that question had weight. It meant something. It meant who understood the machine and still came home. I raced in an era where there were no runoff zones, no airbags, no electronics keeping you alive. If you made a mistake at 170 miles per hour, you didn't walk away. You didn't walk again. So greatness was never about being the fastest. It was about feeling that edge and knowing exactly how far you could go. I've watched this sport change for over 60 years. The bikes are faster now, the riders are braver, but the question is the same: who can live on that edge longer than anyone else? I have 5 names, and one answer. Mike Hailwood was the first rider who made me stop and watch. We were in the same paddock, same era, same bikes that wanted to kill you. I knew what those machines felt like, how they kicked, how they punished you for every small mistake. But Mike, he made it look like the bike was grateful to be ridden. I remember watching him at the Isle of Man, Senior TT, 1967, 37 miles of stone walls and telegraph poles, no barriers, no second chances, average speed over 105 miles per hour. And Hailwood on that Honda against Augustini on the MV Agusta, you could see it before the corner. He didn't brake late. He didn't force the bike. He arrived already balanced. While others were still correcting mid-corner, Mike was already on the exit. The throttle rolled on like it was measured in millimeters. Not because he was gentle, because at that speed, on that road, one mistake meant death. His gift was mechanical sympathy. He didn't fight the limit. He synchronized with it. And in our era, that wasn't just a skill. That was how you stayed alive. Mike was the best rider I ever raced alongside. But then I watched a man who could beat him without ever looking like he was trying. I raced against Jakamo Augustini, and I'll tell you what it felt like. Suffocation. You never lost to Augustini in one corner. You lost to him over 10 laps. Same braking point, same line, same exit, every single lap. I remember the late 60s 350 and 500 class battles. Him on that MV Augusta. There was one race, Dutch TT, 1968. Augustini got to the front by lap 3. And from that moment, the gap stayed at 2 seconds. Not 3, not 1, 2, for 12 laps. Your tires degrading, your arms getting heavy, your concentration fading, but his rhythm never changed. That was the pressure. Not aggression, not late braking, not spectacular overtakes. Perfection. Lap after lap after lap. He didn't need to pass you 10 times. He passed you once. And then he strangled the race with consistency. Jakamo perfected the old way of racing. Control the pace, control the race, let the others break themselves trying to keep up. But then an American came along and burned the entire rule book. I'll be honest with you. The first time I saw Kenny Roberts ride, I didn't like it. It looked wrong. The bike was sideways, the rear was stepping out, the front was searching for grip like it had lost its way. In my time, that meant you were about to crash. But Roberts didn't crash. He was faster. He came from flat track racing in America, dirt ovals, where the rear tire slides on every corner and you either learn to use it or you hit the fence. 1978, his first year in Grand Prix, Yamaha 500, and he rode that thing like no European had ever seen. He would enter the corner and the front should have washed out, but it didn't because he wanted it to slide, not losing control, using it, rear stepping out, front searching, and still he was faster than everyone. It took me years to admit it, but Kenny was right. The limit isn't a wall, it's a territory, and he was the first man to live in it. Hailwood harmonized with the limit. Augustini controlled the race within it, but Roberts walked straight into it and made it his home. Roberts changed how you ride a motorcycle, but the next man changed how you think on one. I watched Valentino Rossi, and I realized racing had become something I barely recognized. It wasn't just about the bike anymore. It wasn't just about speed or bravery or even technique. It was about the mind. Rossi didn't just ride against you. He studied you. He learned your patterns, your weaknesses, the corner where you hesitated, the moment your confidence cracked, and then he used it all against you. Catalunya, 2009, against Jorge Lorenzo, last lap. Turn one, nothing. Rossi sitting behind, patient, watching. Turn five, closer, pressure building, final corners. Everyone thought it was over. Lorenzo had the line, Lorenzo had the speed, but Rossi, he didn't go wide. He went to the inside, the impossible line, brake later, leaned harder, trusted the front tire beyond what logic would allow. In my era, that move would have been suicide. The tires wouldn't hold, the brakes wouldn't stop you in time, but Rossi had something we never had: information. He knew the tire, he knew the grip, and most importantly, he knew Lorenzo. He knew exactly when to strike. That was his genius. Not just riding skill, but the ability to read a race, read a rival, and break them at the perfect moment. I thought Rossi was the end. The complete rider, intelligence, technique, instinct. What else could there possibly be? Then I saw a boy from Severa, and I didn't understand what I was watching. I'll tell you the truth. The first time I watched Marc Marquez, I thought he was reckless. He crashed. He crashed again and again. In my time, a rider who crashed that much was dead or retired. There was no third option. So I watched him and I thought, this boy won't last. But then I watched closer. Sachsenring, year after year, corner after corner. He enters too fast. The front tire loses grip. The bike drops. Any other rider, that's a crash. But Marquez catches it on the elbow, on instinct, on something I don't have a word for. Not once. Every lap. And then I saw it at the Circuit of the Americas, Austin, Texas, same pattern, same impossible riding. The bike is fighting him every corner, tires dropping, rear spinning, front collapsing, and still he attacks. I sat there watching, and I thought about every rider I had ever seen. Hailwood had harmony with the machine. He synchronized with the limit. Augustini had rhythm. He strangled races with perfection. Roberts had front-end courage. He explored the limit like no one before. Rossi had the mind. He broke riders with intelligence. Marquez does all of it. At the same time, while the bike is trying to kill him, that's when I understood, yes, he crashes. More than anyone in history. But that is the point. He rides so far beyond the limit that crashing is the price, the tax, and he pays it and comes back every single time. I spent my whole career believing that greatness meant staying within the edge, controlling risk, surviving, but Marquez made me rethink everything. He doesn't stay within the limit. He doesn't survive it. He owns it. The other four riders I named, they are legends. Each one changed this sport. But if you ask me at 94 years old, who is the greatest I have ever seen, there is only one answer. The boy who made the impossible look routine. I have seen riders who were smooth, riders who were brave, riders who were intelligent, but at 94, I know one thing. Greatness is not one of those things. It is all of them. Under pressure, at the edge, without breaking, 5 names, 5 eras, 5 different ways to master a motorcycle. Hailwood taught me that a rider must respect the machine. Augustini taught me that patience is a weapon. Roberts taught me that the limit is not a wall, but a place you can live. Rossi taught me that the fastest rider is not always the one with the most speed, but the one with the most intelligence. And Marquez taught me that everything I believed about racing had a ceiling I didn't know existed. People ask me, do I miss it? Do I miss the paddock, the sound, the smell of fuel and burnt rubber? Every single day. But what I miss most is that feeling, the moment before the corner when the world goes quiet and it's just you and the machine and the edge. Every great rider I have known lived for that moment, but only one made that moment his entire life. I spent my whole life trying to stay within the limit. Marc Marquez made me realize the limit was never where I thought it was.